Here is a 1962 Sarkes Tarzian FM radio. This is one of the simplest FM radios I've ever seen. It doesn't have any IF CAN type transformers. It's just got the IF coils down under the chassis. And I think some of the circuits just use a single tuned circuit. I think this is the only actual IF transformer in it. The rest are just single tuned coils. And I'd like to someday try and build a radio, a homemade radio like this, because it's just so simple. There's so few components. I replaced the one paper capacitor in it and replaced the electrolytics. Here's the top view. It uses two tubes that have both a triode and a pentode in them. 19 CL8 tubes, I think is what they are. 19 CL8 and 19 EA8. It's kind of like a, what's that tube? Like a 6GH8 tube, which has a triode and a pentode. The pentode in this stage is used for the RF amp, and then the triode is used for the oscillator, and then in this stage the triode is used for an IF amp, and the pentode is an additional IF amp. It uses the 12BN6 gated beam discriminator, and this cabinet is from when I was a teenager. This cabinet actually was from a Ward's airline radio, and I couldn't get any sound out of it, and back then I didn't know why, but now I think it was because of bad IF cans, but back then I didn't know how to fix those or even about the IF can problem. So the radio just kind of got scrapped out for parts, and this speaker came from a GE Musiphonic radio, also having probably a bad IF cam problem, but it again just got the parts all removed from it to use in other projects because I didn't know about the IF cam problem back then. I think the reason I decided to make this custom built setup was because the original cabinet on this thing was busted. The plastic was just cracked. And then I remember I took the 12BN6 to use in a Zenith TV, which needed a 6BN6, and it actually worked in the circuit somehow, because I didn't have a 6BN6 on hand. But I brought this from my parents' house years ago, and the 12BN6 is still back in the Zenith TV back there, so I was never able to get this thing to work until I bought a 12BN6 from ESRC vacuum tubes. The power output is 35EH5 and the rectifier is 35W4. And I had this neon lamp when I was a kid. I actually had it mounted with some duct tape up here behind this clear panel, but I thought I'd go ahead and mount it on the chassis for a little bit better mounting surface. And this is hooked up to the output of the rectifier, so it lets you know that there's DC voltage present. I also put in a fuse holder. So I'm going to put the bottom on the chassis and then put the chassis back in the cabinet. In the next video we'll demonstrate the operation.